Hi, Mario. We discuss evolution and atheism. What is your opinion on this subject?
Hi, Robert. Should I consider myself like an atheist, or what do you think? From which perspective do you want to hear my opinion?
Well, you always confuse me with your perspectives. I thought you were an atheist, and in our first discussion you said you're not really an atheist, but you're somewhere in between, so you can... I give you the opportunity to choose your perspective.
Seems my evolution wasn't so straightforward, huh? or it's still happening. Yes. Oh my God, that was quite interesting subject when I was first in elementary school, of course, learning about history and biology and everything, and later connecting that with my Christian upbringing. So, from my Christian perspective, when I was Christian, I've learned that Bible is at that time when I was young, that Bible is a literal interpretation, literal history book, which describes history of human and how God created human and so on and so forth. And I learned that actually later when I started to question all those facts from the perspective of modern science and insights in the history through some artifacts which were revealed itself in Egypt and all over the world. Actually, then I found out that for a very long time those religious scriptures actually interpreted the origin of the world as they saw fit. That was my conclusion, and then I was actually for a few years I started to try to connect what I've learned from Christian perspective and from school and make all of that one theory to serve me as my standing point. And what was my conclusion? Actually, I don't know what happened in the past. I can see only myself as a product of some evolution physically. What I can tell in my life that my mind and my mindset also has had an evolution. So if I consider my evolution in this life, I can translate that to an evolution as for a human race. And I found out that modern science has answered many questions. Of course, you know, and I know that it took a very long time actually to get to the point we are now. For example, if you know, just in few hundred years ago, it was Galileo and Giordano Bruno and all that crazy scientists. Some of them were also parts of Christian church, and they already at that time had new theories about heliocentrism and all of that things which prove that scriptures were not and have not been actual interpretation of the history and evolution. So therefore I'm in the middle of all of that, like other scientists, from which some of them are they hold positions of theistic evolution. So there is evolution, but there is a God who created the starting point, and from that point we had some kind of evolutionary creation. So they say like Genesis is actually from our perspective, from their perspective, it's inappropriate to use Genesis as a scientific text, but just consider it as a literally framework. Of course, some religions accept evolution more, some accept less. It took me a little bit to find out some data. It was very interesting that the Buddhists which is not actually religion, but the Buddhists accept evolution in 81%. This data is from the US. So they are ready to accept evolution in percent of 81% of Buddhist population. Close with 80% on the second place are Hindus, and Jewish are on the third place with 77%. Catholics are some of the around middle with 58%, and Muslims are 45%. And imagine who is on the bottom of the list: Jehovah's Witnesses with only 8%. That's so interesting. So, what is my conclusion? I found out that Buddhism has 14 unanswerable questions. Some of them are also about evolution, but not directly connected with Darwinism. Where Buddha said about those 14 questions, don't ask me about them. So he refused to answer, since he thought that those questions can distract people from practicing the Buddhism, practicing the fulfillment of or attainment of liberation. So actually they can stop that kind of effort to liberate yourself from understanding the world in this materialistic view. And of course my personal opinion is something in between. I don't believe in randomness of evolution. I believe there were, and they have been actually some laws in which our universe lives, by which our universe lives, and we as a part of this universe also develop by that laws. Of course, with some free will and with our influence, which is probably significant in some small quantity in our personal lives. So in my opinion, everything is truth. I cannot prove anything. I believe scriptures in most religions are just loose interpretation. The science is also a little bit maybe not 100% correct, because science is based on the facts, and of course with 10 million years of evolution we cannot reach out to some facts and be 100% sure. So in my opinion, I would rather accept this Buddhist principle. Don't ask me those questions. What happened. I believe evolution is happening today as well, and maybe even faster than before, or at least evolution of our consciousness and knowledge and life and living the best of ourselves. In that terms, I believe we are very we should be accountable for our part of, or our contribution to evolution in these times we are living in. What do you think?
Well, if you do not believe in random evolution, I think we might actually agree on this topic.
If I don't believe in what? Sorry?
If you do not believe in random evolution, we might actually agree on this topic, right? So,
okay. I believe in some randomness, but not like 100% of randomness. Like we haven't became like by chance in that terms, right?
In any event, in Judaism, it is obligatory for a person to ensure that his sons and daughters are each taught a useful trade, commensurate with their individual abilities, so they will be able to live honorably and not have to depend on public assistance. The Jewish sages said in Tractate Kiddushin 29a that one who does not teach his son a trade is as if he taught him to be a thief. So, in my opinion, if the theory of evolution has a practical importance in a useful trade, that is fine. However, I dislike when people use evolution to promote atheism. And one classic example, of course, is Richard Dawkins, who is an evolutionary biologist and atheist.
Just to
Here is a
mention,
comment.
he's my favorite. Don't be so harsh to him, please. He's my favorite.
Well, I don't necessarily have to agree with you. I also have my opinions and stances.
Okay, I accept that.
But as I mentioned, if the theory, I don't necessarily agree with you that the theory of evolution is one of those unanswerable questions which have no practical importance. Apparently, I saw a presentation on the internet where some evolutionary scientists mentioned the practical importance of evolution. So it seems that evolution does have a practical importance in medicine and some other sciences. So that's my point. If it has a practical importance in a useful trait, that is fine, right? I just don't care about the way scientists like Dawkins misuse it to promote their ideologies, right? So in addition to Dawkins, I saw a funny comment on Rabbi Singer's channel, and it says, "We are evolved monkeys. Neanderthal and Homo sapiens are our species. Science found that religion is indeed created by man." End quote. Science, of course, does not refute the Sinai argument. That's at least obvious to me. I want to read a review of the book, The Evolution Revolution, Why Thinking People Are Rethinking Evolution by Dr. Lee Spetner. It says, Dr. Spetner argues very convincingly on scientific grounds, not theological, why the theory of evolution has no legs to stand on. He offers compelling evidence that the data we have does not support the fact that all living species have evolved from some primitive single-celled life form, nor does the data support the theory that it all happened by means of random mutations and natural selection. Dr. Spetner acknowledges that evolution does happen, but rapidly, as we witness in many examples that occur today, whereby plants and animals do evolve to become better adapted to their environment. But these organisms do so, he proposes, in what he terms the non-random evolutionary hypothesis, because they have a built-in capacity to adapting to a changing environment, not because of random mutations. Dr. Spetner's book is written not only with the scientist in mind, but for the lay reader as well. The author strives for clarity and readability. He offers us a theory that could have a far-ranging impact on how humanity regards itself and can influence greatly future scientific research. As such, it makes for compelling, fascinating, and elucidating reading. Another book by the same author is Not by Chance, Shattering the Modern Theory of Evolution. This book is one of the most technically solid reviews and critiques of the modern theory of evolution. It presents the scientific issues on which this popular theory stands or falls. Furthermore, it does so in a comprehensible manner that can be followed by non-scientists. As a bonus, Dr. Spetner includes an explanation by Rabbi David Luria of the diversity of species based on a midrashic teaching on this subject. End quote. I'm not a biologist, as you know, because we know each other. I'm not a biologist, and my main secular interest is linguistics. But when an MIT scientist like Dr. Spetner disagrees with the theory of evolution, it tells me that evolution is more about ideology than actual objective science. So Dr. Spetner received a PhD from MIT, and if he disagrees with the theory of evolution, it does make me doubt the whole concept.
I can only add that there are other theories, of course. I believe all of that can be a composite of the history we cannot maybe comprehend. The other theory is that we are created as an experiment from some aliens. Doesn't matter who. It's not important at the moment. Why that theory has some kind of weight is that there are some species on the earth, such as leech, which have not been changed forever. There is no evolution in their genome. So that's one of the mystery which can which actually the theory of evolution is a little bit stumbling on, because in that theory, since the leech, when connected with human body and when it sucks the blood and releases some enzymes in our bloodstream, that enzymes have healing properties. So there is a theory. I mean, that is since leeches were not changed, have not been changed forever. It's a question: are they artificially made to support human race? So there are many theories. Since we don't know, I can just stay alert and read what the science and further observations from our race and our peers will unravel in the next maybe decades or whatever we can live in the next time.
Sure, I don't have a lot to add to that. I can just reiterate that from the perspective of Judaism, whenever Judaism analyzes secular sciences and secular arts and whatever, it always tries to find something useful, something which is practically useful for the human race, right? So if there are practical applications of evolution, that is completely fine. I would never, do something which would harm someone's practical livelihood or his ability to use his useful trade. But I'm not a biologist. I cannot judge the data by myself. So like you, probably I have to rely on others who are more expert in this area.
Yes, definitely. But of course, our religious views shape the way how we look at those facts or even scientific proofs, which are also not definitely correct, because the science always evolve, and there is also evolution in science and in the spectrum of data we can reach with our instruments and everything. So I'm not confident that science knows everything and then that everything is revealed with current science. So I'm open to learn everything, and in the other way, actually I don't care, because I need to be focused on my life and to give to this stage where I'm living at the best of myself in this moment.
Okay, Mario, thank you for recording this discussion with me at your very late time, as you are.
Thank you too. It was always pleasure with this interesting topic. It's, I think, very many details, actually many details which can be discussed even further, but of course it would take a little bit longer and maybe too much for our audience. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, and as always, we are Godless Judaism.
We discuss atheism, religion, and everything else.